So, nach einem kurzen Problem starten wir jetzt hier. So, jetzt wird er mich normalerweise auch besser. Beste Klappe, genau. So. Hier mal noch das Licht aus. Das ist ja besser. Raus kommt die Beleuchtung. Zack. Soll hier noch geschwind was starten. Schöne Musik hier. So, zack. So, jetzt sehe ich alles. Jetzt kann es losgehen. Ja moin, Samo. Der haut halt gleich die Titanic-Flöte rein. Was geht ab? So. Nicht viel? Ja, das ist natürlich nicht schön. So. Ich spiele jetzt das Spiel hier am Rechner. Hab's ja auf der Playstation schon, aber ich will es jetzt die ganze Zeit am Rechner spielen, weil es am Rechner einfach besser ist, auch von der Grafik her. Ich kann jetzt hier alles auf Ultra spielen, was natürlich alles besser macht. Das in die andere Richtung. Ja, das ist schon eine ja gut, ordentlich nett, aber schlecht ist es jetzt auch nicht.
It's locked, all right.
Nimm den Schlüssel. Für was habe ich den Schlüssel?
Scowl voices in the garden. I should investigate. If they were to find somebody.
Oh. Das ist einfach laut, okay. Ja, ich zieh ihn gleich runter. Hab's gerade gesehen. Der schlägt komplett falsch aus. Hab's gesehen. Jetzt müsste es besser sein. Es hat sich verstellt. Ich habe auch vorhin lang hier was rummachen müsst. So. Wo ist der Zugang? Hier? Nee. Wo war denn der Zugang wieder? Ich hab doch den Schlüssel gekriegt. Ups. Zack, bam, bam. Nee. Was will der ein? Seiteneingang. Hier. Genau. Hier habe ich nämlich den Schlüssel. Perfekt. So. Gut. Das Spiel darf man allerdings, oder sollte man allerdings nachts nicht spielen. Weil da kann man schon leicht, ja, ein bisschen was Angst kriegen. Okay, aber ich muss wieder zurück. Ich wollte jetzt nur die Tür öffnen. So, zack, zack. Muss ich da wieder hin? Da bin ich reinkomme. Durch die Tür. Hier. Hier ohne ist nix. So, gehen wir hier rein. Da wird wahrscheinlich auch das Seil irgendwo. Zack. Wisst ihr hier, das Eisendraht, was? Ja, Eisendraht finde. Soll ich mal gucken, ob ich da...
It's locked.
Okay, dann muss ich wahrscheinlich oben den Schlüssel suchen. Ah, servus, da ist einer.
Behavior is similar to the infected William Bishop. Must be the same strain. This sickness moves faster than influenza.
So. Zack. Wo ist der Schlüssel wieder versteckt gewesen? So. Schlinge, jawohl. Wo kann ich
It's
da denn
locked,
rein?
all right. This key will surely grant me access to the basement.
Ja, Meister, hast du gedacht, oder was?
Balls of Mars, fortifiers. As popular as they are ineffective.
Okay.
But they do contain iron tartrate, and that might prove itself
Schauen wir
useful.
mal, was wir da oben noch hin. Okay, Blutprobe. Kann ich da rein? Nö. Hier oben ist scheinbar nichts. Habe ich hier alles geholt? Yep. Dann schauen wir mal in den Keller. Aha. Da war doch gerade eben was. Aha. Da haben wir jemanden. Komm.
These skulls feed from corpses and the husks of animals. They're not after blood.
Ui. Hoppla. Ah ja, das war ja einfach. Müssen wir hier die Orientierung wieder suchen. Meister. So. Madonna. Oh. Ja. Oh.
These scowls can be so ferocious. I'm not sure I can defeat them without becoming stronger. To drink blood is so tempting.
Da ist noch was. Hey. Alles klar, Wild Gaming. War schon arbeiten. So. Was will er jetzt? Eine gegen Erschöpfung. Kann ich jetzt... ja, bei mir alles gut. Selbst? Ah, cool. So. Ich muss jetzt hier wieder hoch. Gucken, wo es hier weitergeht. Die ganze Türe, wo jetzt aufgemacht worden sind. Ich da irgendwas holen kann noch. Ja, immer.
Mr. Connor's injuries don't match the report. I'd better look into this.
So, einmal die Untersuchung mache hier. Oh.
Traces of a pinkish foam at the corner of the lips. Some sort of drug overdose, perhaps? The chest was originally open to perform the operation. The sutures are clean, but the chest has been reopened. A puncture over the left lung, possibly a chest tube insertion. Not the cleanest work, but I think it was successful. Multiple abrasions and scarring on the arms and legs. Old and distinctive injuries of a sailor or a fisherman.
Weil ich habe vorhin mal der Helligkeit rumgestellt.
Signs of internal bleeding.
Oder geht's einigermaßen?
So, Dr. Tippett's anesthetics were incorrectly dosed, causing the patient's death. And then Tippett has made an egregious error. It's time we talked.
So, super. Perfekt. Ah, das Spiel gerade reflektiert hat. Glasviole ist immer gut. Da rennt da keiner mehr rum da unten. Und dann? Ja, das war die Tür, okay. Ja, ich muss um 11:45 auch los zur Arbeit. Spätestens. Zack. Okay, hier haben wir nichts mehr. Schön, dass du da warst, aber. So. Ich muss jetzt mal kurz Fenster zumachen. Hab nämlich hier nebenbei Lüften. Sonst wird es zu kalt. Bis gleich. Was nicht, habe ich gerade gesehen. Mein Dashboard wird nicht gescheit angezeigt. Das heißt, ich kann die Daten vom Stream Manager nicht gescheit angezeigt kriegen. Jetzt. So. Zack, zack, das brauchen wir nicht. So, weiter geht's. Hat er mich jetzt rausgeschmissen? Ja? Ah, ne. Gut. Zack. So, Achtung, wo muss ich denn hin? Ah, das ist nur das Schildwesen. Das Schild brauche ich nicht. So. Okay. So, wo ist sie dann?
The daily routine.
Im Patientenzimmer. So. Ja, genau.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything of value?
Yes, nurse.
You've worked your first miracle, Doctor. Now, this patient here needs immediate treatment.
Duty calls. When the storm has passed, I'll show you how to mix the remedy yourself with the same basic ingredients.
Many thanks, Doctor. When you've finished, you ought to report to Dr. Swansea in his office. He's been looking for you. Seemed pressing.
So, Achtung. Krankheit verringert die Totalität. Verwendet die richtigen Medikamente, um sie zu heilen. Sprich, mir hat Sinn. Ist immerhin nicht da. Okay. Jo. Machen wir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I'm Dr.Reid. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here?
Das stimmt.
I don't want to talk. My
Can't
throat
imagine.
hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So
Dem tut die
painful I'd
Kehle
rather
weh.
not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Das habe ich den doch gerade gefragt.
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
If, was braucht der? Der braucht Behandlung gegen...
I'll let you get some rest then.
I'm alright.
Gegen
Don't waste your
Untersuchung.
time with...
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
I'm alright. Don't waste your time with me.
Habe ich das dabei? Behandlung gegen Erschöpfung.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
Jetzt.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
Kann ich dir mit helfen? Welche Tasche war denn das? So.
Do you need any help?
Ah,
I'm afraid I may, sir.
mit E.
I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden,
Genau.
sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
So, haben wir da noch was Neues?
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir.
So, das Bürgermenü. So. Da ist gesund.
Doctor.
Was braucht die?
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reid. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reid? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
Ah, falsche Reihenfolge gehabt.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
So.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the
Schauen.
uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Neuer Hinweis.
Some of the
zu den
staff were not
Sehr schön.
especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude.
What do you mean?
She managed...
She charged you for for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reid. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
Okay, das hat da ist nichts mehr. Jetzt gucke, ob die irgendwas Medizinisches braucht. Nö, die ist gesund. Na gut.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Dann können wir zum nächsten
I'm
gehen.
all right. Don't waste your time with me.
Gleich erledigt.
You always knew the words to calm the children,
Oh.
Ellen.
Den Kamerad.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reid. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey
Schauen wir
Fiddick.
mal.
All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a
Die
regular
ganze
guy waiting to get his arm
Frage
fixed,
hier.
so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reid.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reid? I have the feeling you're very capable. And your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies.
Das habe ich jetzt alles. So.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Ellen. As for me, what a blundering idiot.
Hier, brauchen wir das.
We may lack the resources, but we have some of the most brilliant minds in
Meine
London.
Netzspeicher.
I will not let you down, my
So.
boy.
Good evening,
Was
sir.
weiß.
I'm Dr. Reid. I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reid, yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Aykroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Aykroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Aha. Das sagt er zu mir einfach.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Aykroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've...
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reid. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
So, Achtung.
There is no need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with?
That is one point we could agree on. And that is precisely why I want to be sure that you will be of help to this hospital instead of a burden.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine,
Mal.
perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical
Ah,
experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Ich bin immer noch gesund.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reid, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
This is ridiculous. My blood transfusion technique saved many lives, and you know it.
You see? That is exactly what I hate about people like you. You avoid this kind of accusation instead of facing reality.
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd.
Der ist okay.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Dr. Reid, may I help you?
Weißt du was?
What can you tell me about the epidemic, Nurse Crane? I've been out of touch since I've come back to England.
Everyday folk don't know how bad it is. The papers certainly won't tell them. Not as long as the war is raging on, anyway.
News on the front.
It seemed to be for a while, but that was only last summer. It returned with a vengeance just over a month ago.
What can you tell me about our patients here at Pembroke?
This hospital was founded to help the East End poor and needy. But since the war and the quarantine, we've had all manner of folk.
Can you be more specific?
Well, veterans, the elderly, dock workers. We even have a few mental patients. If there's space, we take them.
So, zurück. Hatte doch Persönliches.
For how long have you been working here, Nurse Crane?
I first volunteered at the Pembroke in 1911, a few months after Dr. Swansea was appointed.
And before you arrived here?
If you must know, this was my first job.
Well, Dr. Swansea certainly has confidence in your abilities. Are you in charge of the nursing staff?
Not in an official capacity, but the Pembroke doesn't always work above board, so to speak.
What about medical protocols?
Dr. Reid, we don't have the money and resources here at the Pembroke like they do in the West End. We do what we can.
How is the duty roster organized?
Everybody works until they can't. If there's time, they'll eat a meal and shed a silent tear.
I'll see you later, Nurse Crane.
So, sprich mit Edgar Swansea.
Will prevail and survive this epidemic.
Ja, lass mich raus.
Good evening, Doctor. I believe we're going to be working
Swansea
together.
ist
Dr.
eigentlich
Reid.
Nummer.
Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer
Das
of
war
your
der
work,
Dr.
Dr. Reid.
Strickland. Das hat er, ist der gesund, ja. So.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood
Muss man
transfusion,
halt
Dr.
ehrlich
Reid.
mal die ganze
I run my
Story
own experiments.
durchmachen.
I'm convinced it's the future.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, you may remain
Curious.
empty-handed, but you won't
Sehr
fail.
schön.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True, true. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work.
Ja, ich sehe gerade. Ich habe
You're not smiling now.
ausgelassene Frames, das ist schon was.
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Dr. Reid. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time. Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could
Ja,
cripple
moin.
him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him?
Yes.
Or to prove your point?
Fair question. I
Also
want
nicht
nothing
über
but
die,
to save my
Places.
patient, Dr. Reid.
Oh.
Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a
Echt mal
good
gute
surgeon
Frage.
must remain neutral.
I agree.
Ich kann jetzt noch circa
That does not
bis
excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior.
on
A man who
that
did
side,
not even take time to
that
converse with his
was
patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
So.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
So, Harvey Fiddick. Zurück. Da haben wir nix. irgendwas? Nee.
Goodbye,
Okay,
Dr.
das
Strickland.
war's. Swansea war over. Halt. Ich muss erst nochmal zu dem Ei. Vielleicht braucht er irgendwie Hilfe. Weil ich da jetzt neue Hinweise
Good evening,
gekriegt
Mr.
hab.
Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reid. Any news about my operation?
Hier ist nix. Doch hier.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
Aha.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army, building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
So. Das haben wir. Das haben wir auch. Ich brauche hier noch einen Hinweis. Gibt es hier noch was? Der ist gesund. Ich brauche noch mal einen Hinweis.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Fiddick. I'll see you later.
You always knew the words to calm the children, Helen. As for me, what a bloody...
Hier. Ne, da ist nix. Ich muss weiter. Den habe ich schon. So, mit dem kann ich auch sprechen.
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reid. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me Thomas Elwood.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Okay. Aber da steht alles gesund.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Okay. So.
Damn. The pain. It's here again.
Mit dem. So.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reid, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
So.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
Denn ich darf halb 1
You
arbeiten.
dared to enter this awful place
Ich muss
alone.
mein Auto noch freimachen.
You're a hero, Mr. Hampton.
Und hoffe, dass ich überhaupt.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends,
Ja.
Dr. Reid. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers' trade union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Okay.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
Ja, das geht ein bisschen, das ganze Spiel wieder durchzuspielen. Aber ich bin schon bei Level 6 wieder.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
So.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Top. Halt. So. Das haben wir.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke?
Okay.
Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton?
Die andere Frage.
Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
So, das ist erledigt. Das ist erledigt.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
Disgust on every street corner.
It's locked.
The daily routine.
Hab ich schon.
A giant morgue disguised as a hospital. There's Pembroke nowadays.
Nee. Ich muss nach oben. Ne, die hab ich noch nicht.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reid, the new surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal?
You keep calling me mortal.
Well, Dr. Reid.
Die ist gesund.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Ja.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of pustulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard's syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense there are...
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
So.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
Oh, such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Einmal die Treppe hoch. Wo ist das Büro? Hier ist das Büro. Genau. Ja, das war nur ein Joke. Als ob du
Please, Jonathan, come in. Fascinating, is it not? In the last decade, so many mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body. biology's penultimate frontier.
Man musste nochmal raus, weil
The more we explore its boundaries, the less we're able to trace a clear line between life and death. You, my friend, have a foot in both countries. The view must be vertiginous.
It's at least as vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
This must be all so new to you.
I wish I could share you.
I cannot express my thrill.
It may seem strange, but your words have brought me some
dann hast du ja
comfort
wenigstens
here.
noch ein bisschen Zeit.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of your work for a long time, and now you are so much more than a brilliant physician. And please, call me Edgar.
Und werd halb den Stream wahrscheinlich ausmachen,
There is no need to
damit
apologize,
ich mich noch
Edgar.
fertig machen kann.
You offered me sanctuary
Ja.
when I had none.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only
A
survived.
spokesman.
Discretion is in order, Jonathan.
And you would like me to...
By the stop.
Accepted.
Mal sehen, vielleicht gibt's einen Mobile-Stream während der Fahrt. Mal gucken. Sprich mit deiner Gönnerin. Die Spur. So. Ah, hier ohne.
The flu took my dear wife, Emily. I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough. Now do me a kindness and get some sleep. I'll be back round later.
Your words are kind,
Okay.
the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet lady of mercy.
Good evening, Dr. Reid. It's a pleasure to see you again. You seem surprised. Dr. Swansea has brought me up to speed concerning your recent appointment to Pembroke Hospital.
Hier noch heilen kann.
You're a vamp... The lady who saved me that night, before vanishing into thin air. I remember you from the pub with Dr. Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
So.
Apologies. You've taken me by surprise. I'm very happy to see you.
The pleasure is mine, Doctor.
I hope you're more disposed to answer my questions now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
Oh, okay.
Have any of the patients given you trouble?
These poor souls have so little left to live for. I do my best to ease their pain.
The world would be a better place if it were cared for by women like you.
Niemals Positives sehen.
You make me blush. I am simply a necessary evil.
Pardon my boldness, Your Ladyship, but I have questions concerning this condition we share.
As a newborn, your hunger for answers is rivaled only by your thirst for blood. But the questions need wait.
I'm a scientist. My trade is in the deciphering of mysteries, and I need information to feed my mind.
I will gladly answer every question you have, but first, prove yourself capable of resolving my predicament without eating the culprit.
Dr. Swansea has commissioned me to be your agent in this matter. You could start by explaining what's amiss.
These past insufferable weeks, I've been the victim of extortion. I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer grows greedy. I must refuse his most recent demands.
What are your expectations? Please be precise.
As the newly appointed surgeon of this hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn the identity of my blackmailer.
Who would be so foolish as to threaten you? A kindred spirit.
Even if it were the case, and I highly doubt it, a vampire would have asked for something more valuable than money. My suspicions lean toward a patient or their family.
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal tradition doth dictate, all fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze, the blood would run like a river. That's what I hope to avoid.
Please continue. Every detail is essential. I'm your man.
My embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed only by my shame at having put the hospital at
I'll take care of it. Do you know where I should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter myself. You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life?
So. Ich muss jetzt hier mit anderen sprechen. Da stelle ich mich jetzt vorne drauf. Ist das die? Nee.
My sweet girl. Reads me like a book. I never could keep anything.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Nee, das steht hier immer.
Have you heard of any blackmailing going on within these walls?
I have no time for mortal games. My secrets are beyond their comprehension, Dr. Reid.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Aber wie schon gesagt, ich muss jetzt leider mal kurz unter anderem hier in der Just Chatting Mode gehen, weil ich darf offline gehen. Was heißt darf? Ich muss, weil ich muss spätestens um 3/4 los. Muss mein Auto noch frei machen. Ja. Heute Abend ab 18:30 Uhr gibt's die Raid-Stunde. Pokémon Go. Wir werden live sein, beziehungsweise ich werde live sein. Also wie gesagt, 18:30 Uhr. Würde mich freuen, wenn ihr einschaltet. Bis später, 18:30 Uhr. Einschalten. Ciao, ciao.